over 'cause you let him. Phone drill, I guess you didn't know any better. Don't let me just show. Do all I can just to show you you're special. Something is your love that holds me together.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alex, and today we're going to be reviewing Ginny and Georgia season 1 to 2. And Ginny and Georgia is about a mother and daughter who move to a new town to start a fresh life. The story follows Georgia Miller, a free-spirited single mum in her 30s, and her teenage daughter Ginny, Virginia. Georgia also has a son called Austin, and Georgia and her children move to this New England town after years on the run. Georgia wants to give her family a normal life, but the road to new beginnings is bumpy. It explores the relationship between a mother and daughter, which is complicated by Ginny's resentment of her mother's unconventional behaviour. The themes that are featured in this show is teen sexuality, self-harm, mental health, and many others. Ginny and Georgia was a hit on Netflix, and when it debuted for season 2, it stayed at the top of 2023 Netflix shows. And some critics praised the show for handling its teen sexuality, while others noted its potholes. So in season 1, the plot was that Georgia Miller and her children, Ginny and Austin, moved from Texas to Wellsbury, Massachusetts, to start a new life. And Ginny is 15 years old, often feels more mature than her mother. The neighbours come out to greet them, which she meets Ellen and her daughter named Max and her son named Marcus. She also meets Joe, the local cafe owner, and Paul the mayor. Ginny makes a new friend in Max and joins her group. Hunter takes a liking to Ginny, but she secretly kisses Marcus. Ginny and Austin run away after Ginny finds out that her late stepfather Kenny's death was no accident. But it is a very good watch, and I will dive into the characters now. The series started in 2021 and has been continuous, and they've even been approved for season 3 and season 4 from what I've seen online, and that is absolutely great because I do think people do find Ginny to be a bit cringy. She is a cringy teenager, and I don't know who wrote Ginny, but, you know, sometimes I do think she is a bit cringe. She's not necessarily how I think of teenagers of today, and, you know, Georgia's life seems a bit more interesting. But let's get into the characters. When Ginny meets Marcus for the first time, they have a little back and forth. He likes her, she likes him, but she also kind of likes Hunter. I don't know if she ever did actually like Hunter, but, you know, Hunter likes her, and Hunter's doing his dances. Then they had a battle out of the minorities, saying that, you know, Ginny saying that she knows more Mandarin than him, and he's saying that he's never seen her twerk, and how I think Brody can twerk better than her, and he's never seen her pound down some jerk chicken. And I was just like, yeah, that was a wild argument that should have never been included because it was just really silly. And then obviously we see flashbacks and we see Georgia's life and how Ginny and Georgia were living. And, you know, it's not necessarily it wasn't a great life. And, you know, it's a good watch. You see the relationships that she builds. Like, Maxine, for one, is her best friend. Or Mang, you know, is their group. And I can't lie, I wasn't a fan of Mang. I really wasn't. I'm sorry, guys. You know, jump in the comments if you have to. I know you like to tussle. Don't jump me. But literally, I wasn't a fan of that friendship group. I feel like they were all a bit selfish. I feel like they all didn't, you know, they didn't help each other. And so I did think that they were all just a bit, I wasn't a fan. One thing I do like about the show is that they explore different dynamics of Ginny and Marcus's relationship and their internal struggles, and it makes it more realistic. They show him in season 2 more depressed, and I don't think necessarily Ginny notices, and I think that's also an issue, the fact that they seem to be on different pages and she doesn't necessarily notice. But going back into how their characters are, I think Ginny and Marcus's relationship make you want to root for them, but then at the same time you're like, I don't know if they should be together because she comes from a lot of trauma and he's got a lot going on and he comes from a lot of trauma, so they're not sure whether it's a will they, won't they kind of relationship. Maxine, she was with that girl and she was over the top, too invested, and, you know, I think she was just suffocating her, you know, with the calls and the texts and the whatevers, and, you know. And then Abby and I think were together at one point, and he felt her leg, and her leg had the wrapping on it because she has body image issues, which I feel really sad for Abby, because I like how they explored it, because I like how, you know, everyone else has their issues and then she also has her issues as well, that she deals with, and I enjoy seeing that issues are being touched on, because I think these are important issues to discuss, just like Ginny's, you know, self-harming, and, you know, Max being how she is and how that affects her friendships. And sometimes I do feel like she might have ADHD, because I feel like I have ADHD, and I feel like Max's personality is very like ADHD. And so I feel like she can be perceived by people as annoying and all that kind of stuff. So I think that also has an effect on her relationships with her family and her relationships going forward. And I think it's very interesting and more realistic to explore that. Nora, I don't know much about Nora. I don't think they explored Nora, to be fair, but I feel like Nora's just a follower, so there's not necessarily going to be much there to follow. But I do want to go into depth about Abby and Brody's relationship, because it actually looks kind of sweet, and that was something like brooding at the end of season 1. But then season 1, when it finished with Ginny and her brother riding off on a motorcycle, and I think they ended up at the dad's house in the beginning of season 2, so we'll speak about that too.